Hi guys, it's Caroline. Today I would like to review a book called Every You, Every Me by David Levithan. This is a book that I think is best going in not really knowing anything. The back of the book only has a couple sentences, which I will read to you right now. You know one me, just like I know one you, but you can't know every me, and I can't know every you. That's all I went into this book knowing. If you haven't read this book, I will say very briefly a couple things that don't really spoil anything or really give anything away, and then I'll get into a spoilery review, but I will say before that happens. So first things first, I gave this book 4 stars, which is pretty generous, honestly. Objectively, I would probably only give it 3 stars, but I gave it 4 stars because I think this is a book that if high school me had read, I think that it would have helped me a lot. I think that it would have encouraged me to get help. It deals with mental health issues. So this book is kind of a YA psychological thriller. If you're a younger person, I highly recommend this. If you're an older person, you might not like it so much because it's definitely a high school book, but I think that this is a book that might be important for young people to read. There was nothing really like it when I was in high school that I've ever found. A couple of the things I liked a lot are various chapter lengths. Some chapters were only a couple sentences, some were several pages. I really liked that. I think it adds emphasis, and that's something that I really like in books. I also really liked the concept as itself. It deals with pictures and words and things like that, and I really like mixed media books that include things like pictures. Some ebooks now include links to fake blogs and things, and I think that's really cool. I also really liked the main character's voice. This also kind of goes hand in hand with a dislike. I felt like this read like a angsty teenage high school boy, but as a whole, I didn't really feel like the characters had a lot of personality, which is a dislike. It was just kind of bland and generic. But the voice, it was really written like an angsty high schooler. And I really liked some of the use of space. To give you an example, on page 183, you can see that they don't all line up. It's kind of like poetry or something, I don't know. But I really liked that for emphasis. Now, a couple of the things I didn't like about this book, I thought that it read kind of young. I didn't feel like it was a YA that really transferred to adults very well. But that's okay, not every book has to be. But I'm only 22, so I'm still kind of in the YA range. Like, I'm not that old. I also thought at times it could be hard to follow. Sometimes I was like, wait, what just happened? Again, I mentioned the characters don't really have a lot of personality. They're all kind of generic. And it's kind of depressing and angsty, but again, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, even though I didn't like it, because it really does fit like that kind of high schooler voice. Some of the crossed out words, I thought it could be hard to follow because when he crossed things out, he didn't use any punctuation, so things kind of went on and on and on, and I couldn't tell if they were like a list of things where they should be commas or whatever. But at the same time, it does read like a diary, and when you write something down, even if you're just writing an essay on an exam, I certainly will cross out words. This book was a quick read. It kind of made me feel sad, but I guess that's a good thing because books should make you feel something. Okay, now I'm gonna get into some spoilers, so if you haven't read this, X out. Okay. You decided to stay. It's really unbelievable that a high schooler did this, that the high schooler was, I guess, the perpetrator. There's 2 quotes that really stuck with me. They're both from the same page, and I think it really encompasses people dealing with depression or bipolar or just feelings of hopelessness in general and things like that. So I would like to read them to you. From page 237, the first one is, "Death is not freedom," and that relates to a few lines later. "She wanted freedom from her pain, but she didn't want to die. There's a difference." And that's something that I think is really important for people to understand. When somebody's contemplating suicide or depressed and they think that life sucks and they don't want to die. Nobody wants to die. They want their pain to stop. They want help, but they don't think they can get it, or they don't think they deserve it, or they think what they're feeling is normal, and it's not. And I think that's really important for people to understand. A lot of people don't understand. A lot of people have suffered from depression. So I think that that perfectly encapsulated that, and I think it's really important for people, especially young people, to read and to understand mental health issues. So a very quick synopsis of this book is that the main character, the narrator's best friend, is gone. We don't know what happened to her. The whole time I thought it was suicide. It turns out it's not suicide. She's in a mental health institute. But the main character sounds like he really blames himself for it, so I always thought it was suicide. But it's not. And the main character starts getting these photos and notes from someone, we don't know who, and he's trying to figure out who. And again, they're very blaming. They're, like, I'd say a step beyond bullying, because they're really blaming, and it's sending him on this chase, and he finally figures out who and confronts them, and it has an okay ending. I don't want to say a happy ending, but you find out the main character's best friend, who's missing, did not die. She's in a mental health institute, and this girl who was sending these photos and things blamed the main character, the narrator, for it, and thinking he took away her. He didn't save her. She didn't think he saved her life. She thought he ruined what was special about her. And again, that's not true. She was miserable and she wanted to die, and he saved her life. And with the stopping the girl from committing suicide, I thought this book handled that really well, because you're never 100% sure you did the right thing. I have called 911 on people when they admitted they were thinking about suicide. Sometimes, even if I thought they might have been joking, I've called twice. And I know other people who have called, and you never feel like you did the right thing. You always are conflicted. I don't know, but I think David Levithan himself must have dealt with some of these feelings, maybe as a kid, maybe now, just because the way he understood it so well. I suggest checking it out if you or someone you know is suffering with mental health issues, and I guess that's it. I'll see you again soon. Bye, guys!